buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slide, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Rock the Boat, a.k.a. Game On. I was up till not midnight. I was up till 3 a.m. Last night and talking to people. And I didn't get the header done. If you want to look at that, I got to make a couple of changes to the header. If you want to go look at the header sitting on Facebook under Rock the Boat Radio. So if you want to go to Facebook and look up Rock the Boat Radio, I just have to make a couple of changes before I get it put up over here at ucy.tv. So I'll get that done ASAP, and we'll run from there. So for the next 2 hours, we're going to talk about some stuff around. I think what I'm going to do is probably top of the hour, 1 o'clock time, thereabouts. I'm going to call the jail, the remand center in Edmonton, or in Alberta, and see if they'll let me. See if they can go get Minister Robin, and put him on air in the jail. I kind of doubt they're going to do it, but there's another problem there, and that is that. I know Robin has some medical problems, and I know that when he was unceremoniously tossed in jail in Saskatchewan many years ago, when he first started doing his work, that they didn't give him his medicine, and he really ran into some medical problems after that because of denial of the medicine that he required for a intestinal problem he was having or something. So apparently he's been drinking distilled water ever since, and that's all he drinks. And apparently the news I got last night was that they were denying him his distilled water. So we're going to give him a shout, see if we can get talking to somebody at the remand center, which is quite the complex. But I just got looking at there a few minutes ago. It's quite the complex. It holds almost 2,000 inmates, and it's built in 2013, or opened in 2013, and is quite the facility to hold people in. I don't know why they got a place that needs to hold basically close to 2,000 people, other than for financial reasons. You don't want to build a big remand center like that and not have the beds filled, because we are all financial instruments, right? And so they use us and abuse us and slave us and trade us and sell us and borrow on us and so on and so forth, which is really, I think distilled water isn't good to drink always. I don't know. That's just something somebody put in the chat. I don't know. I don't own Robin's intestinal tract. Distilled water kills you dead after a while. I didn't know that. Distilled water is dead water. I don't know that either. I don't know anything about distilled water. All I know is that's what Robin's been drinking. Doesn't matter. I'm going to call the jail anyways, or the remand center, and see if I can have some fun with some people out there. Maybe I can talk to Mr. Remand himself. Who knows? Anyways, I'm gonna go through the story. I'm really sick of okay, I'm just going to have to look up distilled water at some time, because there seems to be a lot of stuff in the chat about distilled water, which I know nothing about. I'm drinking a coffee with 3 shots of Irish cream in it and 2 brown sugars. I'm feeling rather distilled, but I like to have my coffee before I do the show. Anyways, when I went out to the end of my driveway about an hour ago, and this property is really treed, and really got to get out to the road to see much, and I haven't seen one for a while, but it was quite lovely. Just a humongous chemtrail X south west of me a little bit, hanging out over Lake Huron. It was magnificent. It was huge. I haven't seen one for a little while. There was a time when it seemed every time I finished a show, there was an X over my house, or some screaming big chemtrails over the house. So, the sky was lovely when I first got up this morning, but it's being mucked in now, as per normal. We're having a problem here with rain. We're short of rain here. The farmers are starting to really get worried about it. The corn crop ain't growing right. The beans ain't growing right. And they're quite concerned about the lack of rain we've had. We're supposed to have an extremely hot week this week coming, which of course is not unusual. But again, it's all cyclical. The 30s was extremely hot and dry. And when I was looking at the temperatures, the record temperatures over the last week or two, every one of the hottest on record over the last, up till now, over the last 2 weeks or so, was in the 1830s. So again, it's cyclical. These scientists are not cyclical, they're sick. They're mentally ill. The data's all there, but we're not working on real data. We're working on manipulated data, and we're tossing the data out that doesn't fit and adding data that doesn't exist in order to push the globalist program. So, but I'm a little bit worried about the crops, because we know what happened in the Ukraine and Russia when they starved out all the farmers way back when. And we know what a lot of the program is based on. We know why the pride was pushed incrementally. First it was gays, and then it was gays and lesbians, then it was gays and queers, and it was gays and queers and bisexuals, and it was queers and transsexuals, and then they just keep adding letters to it, and it's all about depopulation, all of it. Do you think your government gives a sweet bejesus? Your so-called government gives a sweet bejesus about the transgendered people, all point whatever percent that weren't before, until it was played out in the sitcoms on your TV set and in the movies you went to watch. Guys dressing up as women. I mean, none of it is normal. It's all created, and you people get suckered into it. It's that simple. And then it's taught in the schools, and very young children who have no guideposts. The schools, and I know they're doing it. They target people that they think that they can coerce into being something they're in fact not. And they do it at an early enough age, they can get them to believe it's normal, because of course the little kids don't have any guideposts, and the parents are busy trying to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table, and they came through the same school system, so they're mentally depleted too, and they don't know how to stand up and say what the hell's on their mind, because it seems that we live in a world where everybody's afraid to say what they want to say. Well, my attitude is, if you got something to say it, mean it, and if somebody don't like it, they can move away. And we got to get back to that. Well, you can't say that. Shove off. Say whatever the hell I want, when I want. And if you don't like it, fight me. Period. And you bow down, boy. You bow down, you're going to end up with a boot in the back of your neck. That's a guarantee. Just stand up. Say what's on your mind. Now, a Jew died here apparently pretty recently. And I'm going to go take a boo at that for now, because it's a story. I see that our prime minister, I think he's gone to Auschwitz or something right after this Jew died. And of course, he's a Nobel laureate, of course. And so I'm going to buzz through that story quickly. And if you don't like it, tough luck. And it's an opinion piece in the Toronto Star, and it says, who will be our moral compass now? Who will be our moral compass now? And it's an opinion commentary in the Toronto Star. Elie Wiesel was the last, can you believe I'm even reading this shit? Was the last of the last from a generation of wise people who served as humanity's conscience. If you hear me gag once in a while, excuse me. Now, I looked into this guy a little bit, once you read the story, you know the guy's a player. So his death was announced on July the 2nd, 2016. He was the last one, apparently. He wasn't the last Holocaust survivor, no. Not the last author or philosopher, but the last of the last from a generation of wise people who served as humanity's conscience. We still needed his wisdom to help us navigate these tumultuous times. Britain-renowned Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks defined this sentiment just a few days ago when he wrote, "There is a widespread feeling that in the world in the 21st century is running out of control. These are dangerous forces. The far right seeking a return to a golden age that never was. The far left in pursuit of a utopia that never will be. They are both enemies of freedom. And that's pretty good because the right and the left are enemies of freedom. I'll give them that part, you know. I often said, and a lot of other people say, you know, the right left, if you're listening to a radio host or reading a publication or watching a TV show that is pro-left or pro-right, and you're actually listening to these people, then you need to get your head fixed because it's broken. Now, I've said many times that, you know, the right, the left are simply two wings on the same bird flying to us to a destination that you don't want to arrive at. But there you are, arguing right and left. That's just stupid. But, you know, I hear a lot of this and, you know, what rule are we under really? You know, are these really our governments? You know, or is it a Roman government? Is it a British government? You know, we hear we're under military rule. Well, the last one seems to be probably the best fit because if you listen to a drill sergeant, you know, or those being drilled, you would hear them marching around, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. That's military. That's the boots. You got a right leg and a left leg. They're attached to the same body, and the body is a corporate body. And that's what you're under. You want to say it's Roman, you want to say it's British, you want to say it's military. It doesn't really matter because they're all one and the same. It's all corporate. Corporal, get over here. Oops, did I say corporal? The corpse. Corporation. Okay, we're under corporate rule. Your government is a corporation, your so-called country is a corporation, and you are being right-lefted to a destination you most definitely do not want to arrive at. And that's a fact, Jack. Anyways, Eli or Eli, L-E-I-E, I guess Eli, Weasel. I guess it's pronounced Weisel, but it sure looks like Weasel. So Eli's Weasel's life was buffeted by such extreme ideologies, and his caution remains significant in today's world where life often seems to have little value, where faceless innocents are slaughtered by the dozens in terror attacks and quickly forgotten. Eli the Weasel reminded the world of life's incredible value. He remained forever astonished, quote, that I survived the Holocaust and went on to love beautiful girls, to talk, to write, to have toast and tea and live my life. Ah. His generation was a generation of the 20th century that struggled to put a broken world back together. His generation was a generation of Martin Luther King Jr., who was either a player or a fool. I put that part in. A generation that fought for social justice and humanity. It was a generation that spoke about not being silent. In King's words, quote, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, unquote. Similarly, Weasel would argue we must, quote, we must take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormentor. Now I can agree with that part. Speak up. Say what you mean and mean what you say. We wouldn't be in this mess if people had stood up, if people had asked questions, if people went and found answers. We wouldn't be in the position we're in now. With Weasel's passing, I know it's Weisel, but as I get into the story, you'll get the Weasel part of it. With Weasel's passing, the great generation that empowered us and guided us to speak out against repression, violence, and hatred is gone. No, that's not true at all. The great generation that did not empower us, but it really enslaved us further and guided us to speak out against repression, violence, and hatred. This is all part of the chaos game. Okay, civil rights, all of this stuff. And it continues today, only it's been ramped up a lot. Gone are the icons who refuse to shake hands with the devil. They are the devil. That's what kills me. This is written in the Toronto Sun, or Toronto Star, excuse me, which is a left paper, left-wing paper, left boot paper. And they signed on with the devil. They didn't just shake, they didn't refuse, the gone are the icons who refused to shake the hands of the devil. Well, everybody in this story didn't just shake hands with. I think they had dinner and probably bent over with a jar of Vaseline for the devil. Choosing instead, it says, to impart their righteousness through their actions and wisdom. Mahatma Gandhi, who was a player, who was a lawyer, who was a racist, was one of the first leaders widely revered for his nonviolent methods, gave the world a new path toward freedom. He put the responsibility for social change on each and every one of us, instructing, quote, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. How many times have we heard that? And where do we hear that? We hear that, we see it. We don't just hear it. We read it in groups like We Are Change, which is a constructed fraud to help push the globalist agenda. So if you're a member of We Are Change, you're an idiot. Sorry. Just the way it is. If you want to argue the point, call me. If you want to call me out, call me out. Fine with me, but you're an idiot. Let me see, where was I here? He put their living around. You must be the change you wish to see in the world, unquote. And so each of us becomes the center, the bridge, and the pinnacle for expressing goodness. Communitarianism. World government. That's what they're talking about. A similar inner wisdom. I mean, you know Gandhi was a liar because the man was a lawyer. So he's a liar. Well, one of you lawyers. You lying piece of garbage. These are all players. All of them. A similar inner vision, inner wisdom and peace is found in the profound writings of Helen Keller. Now, I've never looked into Helen Keller. Haven't had time, don't really care. But I have heard things about Helen Keller, which would position her into the same thing as some kind of a screwball player. But what Helen Keller has to do with the outcome of the world is beyond me, whether she's a player or not. It really doesn't matter. But these are all profound wisdoms. These are the wise ones. And Weasel is apparently the last of the wise ones. Oh my God, what will humanity do now? Oh, what will we do? Helen Keller, who believed the moral imperative to improve the world starts from within. Deaf and blind from childhood, Keller understood better than most that, quote, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart, unquote. Well, we do live in a fictional world created by the bankers and the lawyers, specifically the lawyers, who have screwed with the language, who have given different meanings to the language than the average person is aware of. And it's a world that cannot be seen or even touched because, again, well, it's a fictional world. The 20th century also gave us Mother Teresa as a guidepost for compassion. She dedicated her entire life to extensive humanitarian work in Calcutta, caring for refugees, the sick, and the orphaned with love and affection. Mother Teresa showered the world with goodwill and believed that, quote, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless, unquote. And among the last of the greats was Nelson, communist card-carrying Mandela, the man who freed South Africa from the chains of the racist project known as apartheid. He understood that to, quote, be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others. Another player. We're all chained. None of us are free. And Mandela knows it, or knew it. The player. Freedom from our oppressors, freedom of faith, freedom from hunger and deprivation, freedom from darkness, freedom from hate and intolerance. This is the wisdom that our great prophets have imparted to us. But freedom, as Holocaust survivor Simon Wiesenthal warned, quote, it's not a gift from heaven. You must fight for it each and every day of your life. And that's a very important statement because all of these people are atheists or agnostics. They do not believe in a creator. They're humanists. They believe that a certain number of humans get to play God. These wise prophets, as they're referred to, these are not prophets. These are players. They're very dangerous. They were used to move certain kinds of propaganda at certain times in our history and put up on a pedestal as prophets. Well, if they're prophets, then they're Satan's prophets or Lucifer's prophets or the devil's prophets, whatever the hell you want to call them, but they certainly aren't godly prophets. That is a fact. For Weasel and all those of his generation who advocated for social justice, now you do realize that owning your own home, according to the people these guys all promoted, what's not sustainable? Your house, your air conditioning, normal agriculture, so on and so forth. Why is that? Because it's all about social justice. Okay? It's about the oneness. And if you go back and look at the 76 preamble to the 1976 Vancouver Human Settlement Conference, you will see very specifically in the preamble what's not sustainable, what's not just, what's not socially just is your house. Because if you own a home and I don't, you have the opportunity to gain from that investment where I don't, and therefore you can do better than I can, and therefore your home has been labeled a social injustice. All property must be held in the public, because holding of private property is a form of social injustice. So these guys that are all pushing for social justice rather, don't want you to own a home, don't want you to own a car, don't want you to have air conditioning, and so on and so forth. And they would like to for you to live in a box by a light rail transit system. Papers, please. The commitment to fighting for freedom often led to criticism and ridicule. However, if there is one lesson these great men and women could teach us, it is to stand up for what we believe and know in our hearts to be right and true, even if we are standing alone. Now, we can accept this, okay? But you have to understand how it was written and why it's written. But the truth of the matter is, if there is one lesson, not from these great men and women, but if there is one lesson that all men and women must understand, is that it is time to stand up for what we believe and know in our hearts to be right and true, And we do so even if we do it standing alone. Now, there are several people that I know in the world who are much wiser than Weasel and Mandela, and Helen Keller, and whoever else was mentioned in this story. True wise men, true men who stand, and women that I know who do stand up for what is right. And a lot of them, for the most part, are still standing alone because they dug their way through this bull crap, this psychological war that we've been in for so long. And they found truth. The fact is, you've been lied to since the day you were born, and they've, over the decades and the centuries, brought forward these great, wise people to do nothing more than enslave you further than you were the decade before. This moral compass is the greatest gift left to us by the Weasel. We are now all committed to serving humanity's conscience. Now that's a pretty big statement, isn't it? We are now all committed. Now, how is it we are all committed to serving as humanity's conscience? And now, who brought this rule about? Is that why I got the call from the chief of police, belly aching, because my problem is that I am diametrically opposed to what 99% of the community thinks? Am I the one in this community that the propaganda didn't stick to? Didn't infect his brain? You want to talk about a Zika virus affecting brains and stuff. Think about the propaganda. Think about your schooling. Think about the preachers. Think about the teachers. Think about the politicians. All have infected your brains. So now we can print this stuff that we are all committed to serving as humanity's conscience. This is the work of the devil, if you will. I don't really care what you believe, but a human. Nowhere in this does it talk about man. It says great men, but these great men are those that are the prophets. These are the gods. But they're false gods. It's a false message. Human, by definition, is an animal. And you are an animal, according to these people. You are less than the gods, the wise men, the prophets, the false prophets. And they care about you little animals, not. And we have to break the slavery, which means we have to stand up, which means we have to say what we mean and mean what we say and back down from no one or nothing. The world, my friends, is upside down. It is a fictional world that has enslaved us, who has changed us from men and women into animals, where other men and women wish to play God, and we're stupid enough to listen to them. And that has to change. So now I'm going to go here and take a quick boo at this guy. I think I've watched a video or two on this guy, and there's some real controversy about him, as there is about everything else. That's kind of unfortunate because, well, we've been lied to for ever. So what do we got here on this doofus? Let's just buzz over here to Wikipedia. And the Weasel was born September 28th, died July 2nd, 2016, was a Romanian-born American Jewish writer, professor, political activist, Nobel laureate, and Holocaust survivor. He was the author of 57 books, mostly written in French and English, including Night, a work based on his experience as a prisoner in the Auschwitz and the Buchenwald concentration camps. Along with writing, he was a professor of the humanities at Boston University, which created the Wiesel Center for Jewish Studies in his honor. He was involved with Jewish causes and helped establish the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C., which again is not part of America. In his political activities, also campaigned for victims of oppression in places like South Africa, Nicaragua, and genocide in Sudan. He publicly condemned the 1915 Armenian genocide and remained a strong defender of human rights during his lifetime. He has been described as the most important Jew in America by the Los Angeles Times. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in '86, at which time the Norwegian Nobel Committee called him a messenger to mankind, kind of man, humans, stating that through his struggle to come to terms with his own personal experience of total humiliation and the utter contempt for humanity shown in Hitler's death camps, as well as his practical work in the cause of peace, Wiesel had delivered a message of peace, atonement, and human dignity to humanity. He was a founding board member of the New York Human Rights Foundation and remained active throughout his life. And let's see, Wiesel was born to Sehet in the, mountains in Romania. His parents were Sarah Feig and Shlomo Wiesel. At home, they spoke Yiddish most of the time, but also German, Hungarian, Romanian. His mother, Sarah, was the daughter of Dodi Feig, I can't read that, and farmer from a nearby village. Dodi was active and trusted within the community. The father, Wiesel's father, and his son encouraged him to learn Hebrew and to read literature, whereas the mother encouraged him to study the Torah. Wiesel has said his father represented reason, while his mother, Sarah, promoted faith. Okay, that's the mixing again. Okay, that's the mixing. It's like legal and law. Okay, humanism and faith can't go together. They're opposites, absolute opposites. Could be kind of how Wiesel turned into a weasel. Wiesel had three siblings, yada, 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 who cares? They eventually emigrated to North America, and Beatrice moving to Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and Tsispora and Sarah did not survive the Holocaust. In March 44, Germany occupied, yada, 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 yada. It's not what we're looking for. After they were sent to Auschwitz, his mother and his younger sister were killed. Wiesel and his father were later deported to the concentration camp at Buchenwald. Until that transfer, he admitted to Oprah Winfrey his primary motivation for trying to survive Auschwitz was knowing that his father was still alive. I knew that if I died, he would die. After they were taken to Buchenwald, however, his father only survived for 8 months, dying just a few weeks before the camp was liberated. In Night, the book, Wiesel recalled the shame he felt when he heard his father being beaten and was unable to help. Wiesel was tattooed with inmate number A7713 on his left arm. The camp was liberated by the U.S. Third Army on April 45. Now, I'm not going to get into the war, and I'm not going to get into Auschwitz, and I'm not going to get into the Hitler stuff. I ain't going there. Not today, anyways. Today we're talking about the Wiesel. And you can go look the guy up, and there's lots of controversy on him. The more I'm reading here, the more I know. I've watched a couple of things and read a couple of things about some of the controversies about this guy, and the fact that he was in this the last of the great wise men. Oh my God, what will humanity do now? Hopefully wake up. Okay, after World War II, when the Wiesel was freed, he went to Paris where he learned French and studied literature, philosophy, and psychology at the Sorbonne. He heard lectures by philosopher Martin Buber, and let's see, he spent evenings reading works by, I can't read half these names. By the time he was 19, he had begun working as a journalist, writing in French, and also teaching Hebrew and working as a choir master. He wrote for Israeli and French newspapers. In 46, after learning of Ergin's bombing of the King David Hotel, Wiesel made not a successful attempt to join the underground movement. In 48, he translated articles from Hebrew to Yiddish, but never became a member of the organization. In 49, he traveled to Israel as a correspondent for the French newspaper L'Arche. He then was hired as Paris correspondent for the Israeli newspaper Yiddish something, subsequently becoming its roaming international correspondent for 10 years. After the war, Wiesel refused to write about or discuss his experience during the Holocaust. He began to reconsider after meeting with French author Francois Maurec in 1952, a Nobel laureate in literature who eventually became Wiesel's close friend. Maurec was a devout Christian who had been with the French resistance during the war. He compared Wiesel to Lazarus rising from the dead and saw from Wiesel's tormented eyes, quote, the death of God in the soul of a child. Maurec persuaded him to begin writing about his harrowing experiences. He wrote a 900-page memoir in Yiddish, which was published in abridged form in Buenos Aires. Wiesel rewrote a shortened version of the manuscript in French the night when it was translated into English. The book sold few copies after publication, but still attracted interest from reviewers, leading to television interviews with Wiesel and meetings with literary figures such as Saul Bellow. After its increased popularity, Night was eventually translated into 30 languages with 10 million copies sold in the United States. Film director Orson Welles at one point had wanted to make it into a feature film, but Wiesel refused, feeling that his memoir would lose its meaning if it were told without the silences in between his words. Oprah Winfrey made it a spotlight selection for her book club in 2006. So it was not a popular book when it was written, but once the players got hold of it and found out that they could use it to their advantage, all of a sudden it sold 10 million copies. I put that part in, but you can figure it out yourself. The United States in 55 moved to New York as Forrest Connor's correspondent for the Israel Daily. In 69, he married Marion Erster Rose, who was from Austria, who also translated many of his books. They had one son, Shlomo Wiesel, named after Wiesel's father. In the U.S., he went on to write over 40 books, most of them nonfiction, Holocaust literature, and novels. As an author, he has been awarded a number of literary prizes and considered among the most important in describing the Holocaust from a highly personal level. Now, this guy was in the camp when he was a kid, basically, and managed to write over 40 books, most of them on the Holocaust. Now, where's he getting all this information from? Life experience? Not bloody likely. I mean, if he wrote 40 books during his time in the camps, those books would, I suppose, to fill that many books, they're either extremely short books or they're extremely detailed books. Like, today I ate a bug for breakfast. It was a lovely bug. One of its wings was missing. That's why I was in my emancipated condition, able to catch said bug and eat it. Because in order to fill 40 books when you're a kid relating to your experiences of the Holocaust, it don't work. But it filled the Jewish requirements. And as an author, he has been awarded a number of literary prizes and considered among the most important, describing the Holocaust from a highly personal level. Damn, that was a tasty bug. I wish the other wing had been there, but then hell, maybe I wouldn't have caught it. So, thanks for the one-wing bug. As a result, some historians credit Wiesel with giving them the term Holocaust its present meaning, although he did not feel that word adequately describe that historical event. Remember now, this is our last great wise man slash prophet. And apparently now we're on our own, and somehow we're all committed now. We're all committed because the last wise man prophet has passed away. And we're all committed to something now. In the 1979 book and play The Trial of God are said to have been based on his real-life Auschwitz experience of witnessing 3 Jews who, close to death, conduct a trial against God under the accusation that he has been oppressive of the Jewish people regarding his personal beliefs. Wiesel calls himself an agnostic. Well, he conducted a trial against God, and who killed Jesus? I believe it was, let me think now, the Jews? Well, if you'd killed my only son, I suppose I'd want to bitch slap you a little bit myself. So we have a guy who's called in the article a great prophet, a great wise man, a carer of humanity, wrote a book about the trial of God, and it wasn't a trial of God, it's to conduct a trial against God, and the guy's an agnostic. So, and he's a humanism. They're a humanist. So obviously, this great prophet is a false prophet, as are the rest of the prophets that were written about in that article that I read earlier from the Toronto Star. Let me go down here a little bit, and what do we got? Political activism. Wiesel and his wife Marion started the Wiesel Foundation for Humanity in '86. Now, I'm sure that if I go, or you go, and you put in Wiesel's name here, it's spelled Wiesel, but we call him the Weasel because he was a weasel. If you go crack that in and add Rockefeller to it or the United Nations to it, I'm pretty certain you're going to find some pretty serious connections. In '86, he served as chairman of the Presidential Commission on the Holocaust, later renamed U.S. Holocaust Memorial Council from '78 to '86, spearheading the building of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, not part of America, D.C. The museum gives the Wiesel Award to internationally prominent individuals whose actions have advanced the museum's vision of a world where people confront hatred, prevent genocide, and promote human dignity. The foundation had invested its endowment with money manager Bernie Madoff's failed investment scheme, costing the foundation $15 million, and Wiesel and his wife much of their personal savings. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in '86 for speaking out against violence, repression, and racism. The Norwegian Nobel Committee described Wiesel as, quote, one of the most important spiritual leaders and guides in an age when violence, repression, racism continue to characterize the world, unquote. He's a spiritual leader. He's an agnostic, had a trial against God, but he is a spiritual leader. Now, what spirit is he pushing? Well, it obviously ain't the creator. I'm thinking this spoiled brat, this spoiled Jew, hooked up with the guy that the creator gave the boot to. You know, the guy with the big ego problem? He's better than the creator. The creator tried to talk to him and said, you know, we ain't getting nowhere with you. Hit the road. And he fell to earth. And he looked up at the heavens and he said, I will destroy your creation. Meet the Weasel and all of his friends. And the Jews in general. Now this one kills me. This quote here kills me. We had a champion who carried our pain, our guilt, and our responsibility on his shoulders for generations. And that quote came from George the actor Clooney, who I believe I've hooked up with the, what's it called, the Global Green or Global, whatever it's called, which is a Mikhail Gorbachev creation to go with Morris Strong's environmental creations. And so Clooney, being an actor, and if you want to have a successful career, now I don't know if Clooney's a Jew, it don't sound like a Jewish name, I don't know if that's his real name, but if you wish to have a very successful career in Hollywood or in the arts, you better not piss off the Jews, or you ain't going to have a career. So I don't know if Clooney is a Jew or he's just a Jew ass-kisser, but for him to step forward and paint Weasel as a great champion is, well, just don't go to any more George Clooney movies. Let's see. Since silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormentor. Sometimes we must interfere when human lives are in danger, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become relevant. Now, he talked a lot, I guess. He wrote 40 books, mostly about the Holocaust, but didn't seem to have, and I haven't read all of his stuff, that's for sure, but I don't see any ranting and raving about the millions killed in China or the millions killed in Russia or the hundreds of millions killed in the two world wars. I don't hear any of that bellyache, and it's always about these 6 million Jews. Now, again, what was the purpose of World War I? Create a world government through the League of Nations and the State of Israel. That failed. So let's put some more pain on this humanity that Weasel seems so concerned about. Let's start another depression. Let's starve the people out. Let's bankrupt them. Let's take their houses. Let's shut the jobs down. Let's create a new war. Why can we create a new war? Because everybody's starving. Now we offer them a paycheck to go to the war. What was the purpose of the Second World War? The creation of the United Nations and, again, Israel. This time, it worked. And the history we were taught in school is so false, it is ridiculous, and every school teacher and every school board and every teacher's pension fund should be taken away from them and distributed to all the students that put up with the bull crap that they had to put up with as they were going through school, the indoctrination, the lies, the outright lies, the manipulation of the children's minds in order to push these dumbass agendas forward. Anyways, this guy's got so many honors. He received many other prizes and honors for his work, including the Congressional Gold Medal. I don't know if that's for a 50-yard race or for something else, but it's a Congressional Gold Medal in '85, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the International Center in New York's Award for Excellence. He also was also elected to the American Academy of Arts and Letters in 1996. Weasel co-founded Moment magazine with Leonard Fine in '75. They founded the magazine to provide a voice for American Jews. He was also a member of the International Advisory Board of NGO Monitor. Weasel became a popular speaker on the subject of the Holocaust. As a political activist, he also advocated for many causes, including Israel, the plight of Soviet and Ethiopian Jews, the victim of apartheid in South Africa, Argentinians and desperados, Bosnian victims of genocide in the former Yugoslavia, Nicaragua's Indians, and the Kurds. In 2003, he discovered and publicized the fact that at least 280,000 Romanian and Ukrainian Jews, along with other groups, were massacred in the Romanian-run death camps. Now, he seems to not really give a sweet bejesus about much other than Jews. Why is that? In early 2006, Weasel accompanied Oprah Winfrey. Now, this leads credence to this guy, right? he accompanied Oprah Winfrey as she visited Auschwitz, a visit which was broadcast as part of the Oprah Winfrey Show on November 30th, 2006. Weasel received a knighthood in London in recognition of his work toward raising Holocaust education in the United Kingdom. Gag. In September 2006, he appeared before the UN Security Council with, drum roll please, who would he have appeared before the UN Security Council with other than actor George Clooney to call attention to the humanitarian crisis in Darfur. When Weasel died, Clooney wrote, he wrote this, and this, I already said it over the quote, but I'll say it again, quote from Clooney, "We had a champion who carried our pain." Didn't carry my pain. Did he carry your pain? Did he carry my guilt? No. Did he carry your guilt? No. But that's what it says. And our responsibility. Whose responsibility? On his shoulders for generations. So, as Clooney said, we did champion who carried our pain, our guilt, and our responsibility on his shoulders for generations. Way to go, Weasel. In 2007, Weasel was awarded the Dayton Literary Peace Prize, Lifetime Achievement Award. That same year, the Weasel Foundation for Humanity issued a letter condemning Armenian genocide denial, a letter that was signed by 53 Nobel laureates, including Weasel. Weasel has repeatedly called Turkey's 90-year-old campaign to downplay its actions during the Armenian genocide as a double killing. In 2009, Weasel criticized the Vatican for lifting the excommunication of controversial Bishop Richard Williamson, a member of the Society of St. Pius X. In June 2009, Weasel accompanied U.S. President Barack Obama and German Chancellor Angela Merkel as they toured Buchenwald. Weasel was an advisor at the Gatestone Institute. In 2010, Weasel accepted a 5-year appointment as Distinguished President Fellow at Chapman University. In that role, he made a 1-week visit to Chapman annually to meet with students and offer his perspective on subjects ranging from the Holocaust history to religion, languages, literature, law, and music. In 2009, Weasel announced his support for the minority Tamales in Sri Lanka. He said that whenever minorities, as a quote, whenever minorities are being persecuted, we must raise our voices to protest that the Tamil people are being disenfranchised and victimized by the Sri Lankan authorities. This injustice must stop. And the Tamil people must be allowed to live in peace and flourish in their homeland. Well, isn't this a guy that's pro-Israel? Wasn't it Israel that has just devastated the Palestinians? Isn't Israel the state that has continually pushed, taking over others' land? This is so sick, it's pathetic. Here we have a beautiful little picture. President George W. Bush joined by the Dalai I'm a suck-ass llama and Weasel in October 2007 to the ceremony at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. for the presentation of the Congressional Gold Medal to the Dalai Lama. Oh, how did we get here? I guess just watching TV and reading the newspapers. I ain't going to school. I guess is how we got here. We've been so sucked in and so propagandized and so psychologically twisted that it's very difficult for people to accept that these aren't great people. Well, they're not great people, okay? They're the worst people you could find who have been elevated to a position of, as they said in the article, prophets, wise men. You know, there's another way to look at a wise man, and that's a hustler, which these guys are. I guess they're wise because they figured out how to put the hustle on us, and we didn't see it. Wise guys, right? That's what they are, wise guys. They smile at you, they shake your hand, they look in your eye, and you don't even notice they're lying to you. Weisel was, let's see here, was active in trying to prevent Iran from making nuclear weapons, stating that, quote, the words and actions of the leadership of Iran leave no doubt as to their intentions, unquote. He also commended Hamas for the use, or condemned, condemned Hamas for, quote, use of children as human shields, unquote, during the 2014 Israeli-Gaza conflict. The Times refused to run the advertisement, saying the, quote, the opinion being expressed is too strong and too forcefully made and will cause concern amongst a significant number of Times readers, unquote. Weisel often emphasized the Jewish connection to Jerusalem and has criticized the Obama administration for pressuring, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to halt East Jerusalem Israeli settlement construction. He stated that, quote, Jerusalem is above politics. It is mentioned more than 6,000 times in Scripture and not a single time in the Quran. It belongs to the Jewish people and is more than a city, unquote. So we will continue to deprive and kill the Palestinians until they no longer exist. Wait a minute. Aren't you the same guy that put God on trial? Aren't you the same jackasses that killed Jesus? You wonder why the world is in the state it's in? Well, read lots about Weisel. He was apparently particularly fond of teaching and held the position of Andrew Mellon, professor of the humanities at Boston University since 1976, where he taught in both its religion and philosophy departments. He became a close friend of the president and Chancellor John Silber. The university created the Weisel Center for Jewish Studies in his honor. In 1972 to 1976, Weisel was a distinguished professor of the University of New York and a member of the American Federation of Teachers. Okay, so we know where the teachers are coming from, and the teachers are basically, you can tie almost anything to the Rockefeller Foundation. I mean, it's, the old saying, own nothing and control everything. And this is what this is all about. In 1982, he served as the first Henry Luce Visiting Scholar in Humanities and Social Thought at Yale University. He also co-instructed winter term January courses at the Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida. From 97 to 99, he was the professor for Judaic Studies at Barnard College of Columbia University, and it goes on and on and on and on. This is a kicker. February 2012, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints performed a posthumous baptism on Simon Wiesenthal's parents. I see. After Weisel's name had been submitted to be proxy baptized, he spoke out against the practice of posthumously baptizing Jews and asked presidential candidate and Latter-day Saint Mitt Romney to denounce it. Romney's campaign declined to comment, directing such questions to church officials. So, these are the wise men. These are the wise guys, not the wise men. These people are the false prophets, the false gods, and you have been conned into listening to them and following what they've had to say for way too long. And that's just the way it is. And we have to deal with it. I don't care if you're anti-Jew, or I guess I call that anti-Semitic. I don't care if you're anti-Semitic or you are pro-Israel. I could care less. Matters not to me, but the facts are the facts. And you guys have been hoodwinked. Not the guys in UCY, okay? Because I'm quite convinced by this time, the listeners and chatters of UCY.TV are probably some of the most brilliant people on the planet, hopefully, because they see through a lot of this stuff. And it takes a long time to come to the realization and the acceptance that you've been lied to since the day you were born. Once you accept that, it's very scary for an awful lot of people. A lot of people cannot accept that fact, and it's very difficult for them psychologically to even attempt to accept reality because they haven't lived in reality since the day they were born. And Psych 101 states pretty specifically that once the mind has accepted a non-truth as a truth, it is extraordinarily difficult for the mind to throw out the actual untruth that was regarded as truth and replace it with real truth. So I understand the difficulty that people have in doing what they need to do, and that's accept the truth and throw out the lies. And then you have to start asking yourself questions, of course, which leads you to become a researcher, because in order to find the answer, you must research the answer to the question, which again leads you to the next question and the next answer. And pretty soon it gets pretty simple. But the easiest way for me to accept that I've been lied to since the day I was born, I just looked at it like the metric system when it was implemented here north of the American border. And it was going to be the weights and measures and rule and all that kind of stuff for the globe. But America didn't jump on board. We did. So now we have this silliness between America and the United States, or not the United States, between America and their Canadian cousins, or the northern peoples, is that we have two different systems that we're running, which is absolutely ludicrous. But, when I got looking at this, and when they brought in the metric system here, and that's when I was really, really, really starting to question hard the education system. I'd questioned it my whole life, but by the time they started bringing in the change up from imperial to metric, it was making no sense. That's when I kind of started thinking about how can you accept that everything you've been told has been a lie and throw it and replace it. And it was the metric, the change over to metric, that really helped, because we were always they were trying to teach us how to change out kilometers to miles and vice versa, and, quarts to liters and all this kind of stuff. And it dawned on me, it doesn't make any sense. It's a pain in the ass and it's a waste of time. If we are in metric system, then I don't need to deal with I just got to forget what I was taught, basically. I just got to make it easy. I just got to toss the imperial system and accept the system that we got. Otherwise, I'm going to be spending too much time dicking around. Well, let's see. It says it's 15 degrees out. What's that in imperial or I forgot what it is now. But anyways, all this changing out stuff, why not just forget about, call it the lie, and this is the new truth, which is the metric system, so I don't have to worry about it. It's the same thing. I mean, it's not a very good explanation of it, but if you have to accept the fact you've been lied to since the day you were born, or you're going to spend the rest of your life playing one thing against the other all the time. I get people say, well, yeah, that was a lie, but I don't think this is. It's all a lie. Okay? It's lie upon lie upon lie upon lie. So toss it and just accept the fact that it's all lies, and therefore you don't have to qualify everything anymore. It's a lie. It's that simple. Now get on with the truth, which is opposite of lie, and you'll find it much easier to deal with all of this nonsense. Oh yes, I know what I was going to do. It's after 1 o'clock, and let's say we just to break this up a little bit, let's say we call the jail out in Alberta. I think that will be fun. I think we're going to do that and see if we can't find out the status of Robin and man/truth. Human/lie. Legal/fraud. Law/law or truth. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Easy to convert that way. So I want to thank Dalnick for putting that in there. Okay, let's say we do this. I haven't made a weird call like this in a long time, but I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to because I'm stuck here at the computer and I'm not supposed to smoke in the house. I'm going to take about I'm going to say, count it down. I think I can do this in about 10 seconds flat. I think I can get to the back door. I'm in the front of the house, but I got this feeling I can get to the back door, grab a smoke, run back here, open up the front window, and light a smoke. In about, I'm gonna let's see. Let's call this 10 seconds of dead air. All right, count it down. See if I make it. 10 seconds. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if that was 10. I don't know if that's 10 seconds or not, but I'm back. And now I can enjoy a smoke. Except I forgot the damn ashtray. What an ass. Well, that's not very bright. Well, I see I have an empty coffee cup. We'll use that as the ashtray. That's what we'll do. You can't do this in jail, you know. You have to ask somebody, could I have a smoke? No, you can't smoke here anymore. Okay, I got the smokes. I'm going to put the link to the Remand Center in Alberta into the chat. And let's see here. There's lots of really good information on this. And they have a different system of measurement apparently in Alberta before I make this call. Here we have, we still use acres here, hectares, but not in the rehabilitation business apparently. They use a different form of measurement. I found it rather interesting. Real quick lowdown on this thing. Let's see. Let's see here. Direct supervision. It has a maximum capacity of 1,952. The center is built around a direct supervision system that increases inmates' access to services and programs and enhances facility security. Correctional peace officers are stationed inside living units to maintain direct and frequent contact with the inmates. Some of the programs they have academic upgrading, life skills, parenting skills, addiction counseling, a boot camp. They have boot camp, which provides drills, physical training, and a very high standard of behavior. And it, in brackets, says it's a very accepted program by the inmates. News release here, New Edmonton Remand Center to bolster law and order in Alberta. Some quick facts. It was opened in April 2013. And this is the measurement system apparently that they use in Alberta. Now I do know when I lived in Alberta, I was a big fan of the Edmonton Eskimos. They were quite a team back in the 70s. And the football was pretty big deal in Alberta. And so the new center, is not 5, 10, 20, or 100 acres, or 400, or 1,000 acres, or hectares, or anything else. The new center, this is Alberta measurement. It's different than American measurement, and it's different than our normal measurement up here. The new center is the size of 10 CFL football fields and rests on a site the size of 27 football fields. So you figure that out. Now, our football field is somewhat larger than the American football field, so you're going to have to do some mathematics there to figure out the actual size of the site and the building. Anyways, it has 55 video arrangement courts providing a direct link to courts throughout Alberta. It has 1,500 security cameras and received the LEED Silver certification. It has 60 public video visitation booths at an off-site facility using video conferencing to connect inmates with friends and families. For more information, there's a presentation, the new Edmonton Remand Center presentation, video tour, video highlights from inside the facility during construction. Interested in becoming a correctional peace officer at the Edmonton Remand Center, visit the NERC recruiting website. So if any of the listeners maybe are thinking about living in Alberta or living in Alberta or are living in Alberta and are thinking that they would like to get involved in this wonderful facility, you can go to their recruiting website, of which there's a link. And they have an area overview of new Edmonton Remand Center and its surroundings, site plan for the new Edmonton Remand Center, and common questions. Why did you choose this site for the new Edmonton Remand Center? Don't know, not going there. Why not build near the current Remand Center? Geez, I don't know. Won't this new site increase costs and travel time for inmates being shuttled back and forth to the courthouse? Yeah, of course it will. But hey, you on the outside are surety for those on the inside. So you're paying, and our investors are making bucks off of your backs. So it all works out nicely, doesn't it? Now, the funny thing about calling someone an inmate, so you look up the meaning of an inmate, and it's quite cool. An inmate, this is an etymology. Now, the inmates should feel pretty good about themselves now, I think, because it's actually quite a good deal. Because an inmate is one allowed to live in a house rented by another. That's a pretty good deal. You don't have to pay rent. It says usually for consideration, and it's in is meaning inside, and mate is a companion. The OED suggests the first element are perhaps originally in, like INN, like a hotel. Sense of one confined to an institution is first attested in 1834. Well, if you look up institution, which is, what are we looking at? Which institution are we looking at? Okay, an institution. If you look up institution, action of establishment or founding, it's a system of government, a religious order, etc. Institution, foundation, thing established, from Latin, nominative institutio, disposition, arrangement, instruction, education, noun of state. See institute, meaning established law or process, from being 1500s, meaning established an organization for the promotion of some charity, is from 1707. So the institution is a system of government, a religious order, etc., foundation thing being established, arrangement, instruction, education. So it is a government religious re-education system, I guess it would be called, a re-education camp, because you messed up in society and therefore you broke their rules of the church and the government, and therefore you are sent away to be an inmate on somebody else's dollar. We feed you, we clothe you, we house you, and then the institute is to establish in office, appoint, to set up in a place, arrange, found, establish, appoint, designated governor, administer, teach, instruct. So again, we're still back to the re-education camp, and so on and so forth. So apparently Robin is living off your dime right now. Doesn't want to, but he's been taken against his will, and somebody's making money on him, and somebody's paying the bill, and bill payer would be you. And our institutions, which are filled with inmates, most of these inmates are not there because they caused anybody any harm. Okay, but they aren't listening. Okay, they're kind of a pain, and so you can look at jail as a detention in public school for not doing as the teacher said, or questioning the teacher, or breaking a hall rule, of which you get a detention. So they've managed to keep people in the childlike state all of these times. And really, that's where you're at. You're still in public school, for crying out loud. And only this time, the hall monitors, the principals and the vice principals and the teachers are carrying guns. That's about the only difference. But you broke the rule, and therefore you're a problem, and therefore the only thing that we can possibly do to fix the problem, of course, is to re-educate you so that you will be politically correct in your thought processes. You will toe the line, and so on and so forth. So let us, where's the phone number here? Book a visit, general inquiries. Let me see. I think we'll try general inquiries and see what we can find out. This should be fun, hey? Why not? Let's do it. I don't like when people get thrown in jail, especially when they haven't. I mean, I don't care. I mean, if you go and you hurt somebody, then you deserve to be in jail. You need to be taken out, dare I say, behind the woodshed and taught not to do that no more, because my attitude has always been, if you're running around beating people up, then you deserve a beating so that you get it through your thick head that, gee, does that hurt? Huh? Does that hurt? And I've done that in the past. I've done it when I was a kid. Catch you beating up on somebody that ain't your size, somebody that can't defend themselves, or you're just doing it for the pleasure of doing it because you think you got the authority you can do it. Well, guess what? You're about to take a beating. Know why? Because I hate you? No. Because you don't understand somehow that when you hurt someone, it hurts. Now, once you get beat down, does that hurt? Yeah, it hurts bad. Now, while you're healing up, you think about it, and you don't hurt nobody no more. Unfortunately for us, the so-called government has the monopoly on force. Because without the force, ain't nobody going to listen to them. Okay, let's add this to the group call and see if we can get through to the Edmonton Remand Center and see what we can find out. Oh, by the way,
the address is 18415 127th Street, Northwest, Edmonton, Alberta, T6V1B1. Please be advised that the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act prohibits the disclosure of personal information on individuals in custody. It is the responsibility of the incarcerated individual to advise their family and friends of their personal circumstances.
I don't know if you people can hear what he's saying there.
Video visitation at Edmonton Centre 170, press 1. For Alberta Health Services at the Edmonton Remand Centre, press 2. For sentence administration and bail matters, press 3. For inmate property, press 4. For inmate trust accounts, press 5. For the chaplain's offices, press 6. For Edmonton Remand Centre administration, press 7. To hear the list of options again,
please hold. Your call is being transferred.
Where am I?
You have reached Alberta Health Services at the Edmonton Remand Centre. Please be advised that the Health Information Act prohibits the disclosure of medical information on individuals in custody. The hours of operation are 6:45 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. If this is a staffing emergency, please contact the assistant head nurse on duty. Your call is being transferred to reception. Please wait. Hello, you are either calling outside business hours or all reception staff are currently busy. This mailbox does not accept messages. Please try your call again later.
Well, let's see now. That didn't work. Let's try something a little different here then. Let's get rid of that call. Okay, sorry about that. We're going to try this one more time and see if we can get it in there again. Oh, I know I can do it this way. Recent, let's see, we called, oh, it's not in here. I'll have to go back and get the number. This is the number I want. Now, I don't know if nobody picks up the phone there on the weekend or what the scoop is on that. But I'm going to give it one more shot here and see if I can't get a hold of somebody there. Just for the hellry of it. And let's give this one more shot. We'll try the chaplain, because the chaplain, I think, should probably be there on a Sunday. What do you think? Okay, let's see if we can add this call back here and see if we can get back in.
You have reached the Edmonton Remand Centre. The address is 185 127th Street, Northwest.
I think the chaplain was number 6, wasn't it?
T6V1B1. Please be advised that the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy
I think
Act
that's what it
prohibits
is.
the disclosure of personal information on individuals in custody.
See what we can find out
It is
here.
the responsibility of the incarcerated individual to
But you know,
advise their
nobody
family
should
and
be
friends
concerned
of their
about
personal
picking up the phone and
circumstances
phoning,
location.
the office of the
For
President of the
video
United
visitation at
States
Edmonton
or
Centre
your
170,
state senator
press 1.
or your local
For Alberta
council
Health
member.
Services at the Edmonton Remand Centre, press 2. For sentence administration and bail matters, press 3. For inmate property, press 4. For inmate trust accounts, press 5. For the chaplain's offices, press 6. For Edmonton Remand Centre administration, press 7. To hear the list of options again, press 8.
Well, let's give it a shot.
Please
Let's
hold.
see if we can't
Your
get
call
through
is
the
being
chaplain.
transferred.
Surely he works Sunday. think. We'll see. If not, I'll try and call Tuesday night when we do a show, because there's a 2-hour difference.
Good day. You've reached the chaplain's offices at the Edmonton Remand Center. Chaplains Jerry Moran, Jerry Kerr, Toylene Fook, Quinn Strickwerda, and Angela Veters. We're not available to take your call right now, but you may leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you, and a blessing on your day.
Anyways, we can't get a hold of the chaplain. I think what I'll do is I'll let that be for now. We'll give it a shot. Didn't get through to anybody, and we'll maybe try that again on Tuesday, because apparently, or unless somebody can bail Robin's ass out of there, he's going to be there. I think he said 31 days is the message that I received. You're I love it. Hello, this is the clergy or whatever. Your call is important. This is Dalnick over here in the chat. I love this stuff, man. Yes, this is the chaplain. We're the chaplains of the Edmonton Remand Center. We're not available to take your call, but your call is important to us. Now, fuck off. That's about true. That's about really true. Leave a message for the chaplain. He'll forward your prayer to God, not those chaplains. Sorry, those are like prison chaplains. Those are corporate chaplains. If God walked up to one of those chaplains and said, "Hi, I'm God," they wouldn't get it. It's really that messed up. But I do encourage everyone to pick up the phone, man. Pick up the phone. You got a problem? Pick up the phone. Phone the president's office. Phone the prime minister's office. Phone the head of the justice departments. I do it all the time, and it's absolutely phenomenally funny, because these are the most nervous people on the frickin' planet. These people, they don't want to discuss nothing. You can talk. I mean, when I'm talking to the Justice Department, the top policy lawyers for our Constitution and Charter, who are not allowed to discuss the Charter with me because, well, I'm a slave, and they're only allowed to discuss it with the government, who is the corporation, and it's the corporate charter, of which they're using me as surety and a slave. It only makes sense. Why would they wish to discuss the slave rules with the slave? It makes no sense to them whatsoever. It's actually quite funny. And you can get them dancing, man. You can get them twisted up so bad it makes their head spin. And it's actually fun. And it's a stress relief. I find it to be very relieving stress-wise. And because I know what I know, and most of them don't have jackass clue about anything, they're just doing what they're told. They're monkeys. And monkey see, monkey do. And so you can have an awful lot of fun with these people. I'm going to try again Friday because, or not Friday, Tuesday. The show here is 7 to 8 on Tuesday, and which would be 5 o'clock there. So if I'm pretty lucky, if I make the phone call as soon as the show starts, we should be able to get them on air. And we should have some fun with them, maybe that's what I'll do. Because my show times are kind of screwed up. Ain't going to be nobody in a government office on Saturday night when I do the show on Revolution Radio. And I'm doing this show today on Sunday. Then I got the other shows Tuesday and Thursday, 7 to 8, which is doesn't work here in Ontario. But now that I'm thinking about it, 7 o'clock here is 4 o'clock on the West Coast. And I used to live in British Columbia. So I should be able to hook up, say, with the Chief Justice Department or the Premier's office in British Columbia, have a nice chat with them. Say, hey, how you doing? I'm from Ontario. I see you got a lady out there that's running the province. We got one down here. Not really a lady. It's a dyke, but wears a bra. So we think it's a woman. We're not sure. And we can have some chats about the pipelines and all this kind of stuff, and about some of the other things that are similar, like the carbon taxes and whatnot. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll have some fun with some of these jackasses who call themselves our government. We I love this stuff, man. There's some really good stuff in here. Maddie Clue writes here in the chat, we are beating the demons out of the inmates with old electrical cords. Please leave your message and have a blessed day. I mean, exactly. Absolutely true. It's over the top. It truly is. Now, there was a story here. Oh, where are we here? Where do I go from here today? There's so much stuff out. I've been looking into some stuff, which again is connected to and originally funded by the Rockefeller family. And but I got to do a little bit more work on this and get a few more connections put together. And it is about your local governments, okay? And we're gonna do a show on that. I don't have time to get into that today, but roughly, what it's about is that your city councils, you think you have a mayor, and you think the mayor is in charge. You elected the mayor, and you think the mayor is at the head of this running of your city or your local council. Nothing could be further from the truth. This all goes to, if you go, I think I've put this in the chat before. I think I still have it up. I should put it in again. And I'm guilty of not getting through the whole thing yet. And it's only a short book. I think it's 60-some pages or something. And it's called The New Despotism. And it was written in 29, I think, by a lord of the House or whatever in Britain. He was a Chief Justice, actually, I believe. And he was warning Britain at the time about what was going on in the legislatures in the way government runs things. And his problem was he was looking over to France and seeing what was going on there, and he's seen it was being exported, just like the English bar exported English legal system, which is the bar, and it's actually a franchise. They actually sold this process to other countries. So this Chief Justice was warning, and he called his writing The New Despotism, which I'll put that in the chat here in a minute because you need to read it. And he said then in 29 that it was already being implemented in Canada. And it was. Now, the Federation of Municipal Councils, the FCM or FMC, whichever it is, was actually started in 1901. And this is all connected to the Rockefeller family. This is about control. This is about influence. And of course, we cannot allow the commoners, I suppose you would look at us, the laymen, the uneducated, the unwise, the stupid people, to dictate how things are run. That would be through your vote. So what they concocted was a system of city managers and CAOs, chief administrative officers. Now, while you vote for the mayor, and the mayor used to be the so-called king, queen, whatever, of the local council and had final say on a lot of things. Now, when you're talking to a mayor and that, they have no more power than any other elected official, any other councilor. They are not above these people. They, although they still do the duties of going to the fair or opening a new hospital or this kind of stuff, they're the photo shoot people. They have no other powers. The powers fall on the city managers and the CAOs, who are not elected. It's kind of like the president of the EU, right? These people are not elected. They're administrators. And you get ticked off by what's going on, and you vote this council out and you put a new council in, the same shit's going on. Why is that? Because the councils ain't got no say on nothing. The city managers and or the CAOs, they set the agenda for the council to deal with. Okay, and this all goes back to the Rockefeller Foundation and a few other foundations. Okay? And that's what the Chief Justice in England was warning about way back in 1929. That this is not, the whole idea of the vote is a complete scam. And you can read that in many instances where, we can't allow these people to have this kind of influence. We will allow them to think they do, like we allow them to think they actually own their car or their house, when in fact they don't. So it's another case of the Rockefeller scenario and the UN scenario, of which these guys set up the UN, is that we can give the the front. It's the front, okay? The real business is going on in the back, just like the frickin' mob of which your government is. It is a mobster mentality. And it's a business mentality. And are they going to give you, the voter, control of the business? Not frickin' likely. Okay, so it's all in the back rooms. So I'm going to try and dig out a copy of this. I think I know where it's at. A copy of The New Despotism, and here it is. And I'll stick that in the chat, and I really encourage people to read it. There's all kinds of organizations people have never heard of that are in fact running your local city, your local town, that you probably never ever heard of. And that's unfortunate, but that's the way they do things. And we need to bring that out into the open as well. So, this is 1929, and he was a Chief Justice in England. And I don't know, that's a good question. Is there a rabbi in the chaplain services? I got no idea. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they are. But I do know if I talk to one of the chaplains and I say, are you pro-diversity? They will say, oh, yes, we're very pro-diversity. We believe everyone has equal rights, and we believe that all the, the gays and all this kind of stuff should all be the same as the rest of us. But then you're a chaplain. Have you ever read the Bible? Well, yeah. What's it say in there? Well, yes, I know, but we have to, these are modern times, right? We have to move on. And this is the atonement. Moving from one Lord to the other, and it is a false prophet. This whole thing, this whole legal system is another false prophet, a false god, because it's all corporate, and you're not supposed to have any respect for persons, which is a corporation, of which we've all been turned into. We are all part of the incorporated inhabitants who make up the corporate body, or the body corporate. So it's a dead body. It's a fictional dead body. And this is how we are being ruled. I don't think so. So that has to change. And for those who don't know why I called this show Rock the Boat, I'm going to say it one more time, and then I'll probably try to shut up about it. And, I figured out a long time ago that this world is completely freaking upside down. And my wife liked that series. She has not so much the series, but she likes the actor. I forget what his name is now, who played in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And I don't watch a lot of movies. I got time for them, and I know that. But if you do watch movies, you can, and you know what you're looking at, you can pick a lot of stuff out. And in that one particular movie, don't know which one it was, there was a series of them, but in that one particular movie, Jack Sprague or whatever his name was, the character started. He looked at the maps and the compasses on the boat, and it dawned on him, right? And it's supposed to be sunrise, sunset. It's sun up, and when he realized they're upside down, they're floating around in the fictional world because the things weren't seeming correct at all to these guys on the boat. And he started running back and forth. Everybody followed his action, his lead, and they rocked the boat till they flipped the damn thing, and actually turning it upside down got it right side up. And that's why we have to rock the boat. We have got to flip this sucker and get it back into reality and get out of this stupid fictional world. So, you know, I used to see where people would be upset some time ago. Even there was a time many years ago when I saw a Canadian flag upside down. It kind of irked me a little bit. Now it just makes me smile because I understand that the upside down flag is correct. Our countries are upside down. They are in a legal system, which is not a real system, which is a fictional system and a corporate system. So therefore, when you see an upside down flag, when you see somebody flying an upside down flag, you know, give it a thumbs up and a smile, because at least now there's an indication that somebody understands what the hell's going on. And that's a flag of truth. And hopefully that people understand what that is eventually. And we all start rocking this boat real hard as it should be rocked. And I mean, when I think of this Edmonton, I haven't looked at, at this site too much, but when I look at this thing, Edmonton, 1,900 and, what was it, 25 or 52 people this thing holds, with all these 1,500 security cameras and all this and that. I mean, you are really in the principal's office now, boy. You can't move. You can't think. You can't do nothing. But if you're good, you get good time when you're in jail, right? If you behave when you're in jail, you get time granted to you as good time because you were a good little boy or girl and you followed all the rules and you didn't talk back. And we will give you some good time for that, and we will release you earlier. In other words, we will give you a shorter detention than the principal at the courthouse originally gave you, and because we're working with you, and we're watching you, and you make your bed the way we told you to make your bed, and you wear your socks when you come to dinner. And you don't complain about the food, and you interact, and so on and so forth, and we will let you out of the re-education facility sooner than what the principal, the guy sitting at the desk in the courthouse, the so-called judge/principal/priest, felt that it was going to take to rehabilitate you. So be good when you're in the remand center, and you may just get out sooner than you expected, as long as you weren't pretending when you were in there, because we're watching you. And if we see you break another rule, well, we're going to be twice as hard on you next time. So, the school monitors are watching you, and we may even put you on probation so that you can come and see us once a week or whatever, and talk to the social worker or the probation officer, the school monitor, to make sure that you haven't been running in the halls since we let you out of detention early, because we would not wish to put you back in detention. Do you get my point, young man or woman? Okay, we love you. The chaplain loves you. I'll wear that electrical cord anyways across your back. They should have nuns in the prisons, eh? That would straighten people out quick. You got a bunch of nuns as guards in the jails running around with yardsticks smacking you on the head and the hands every time you do something they don't like. Um, but we got to come to terms with the reality that we are dealing with here, and it's not a reality; it's a false reality. And I would imagine that of those 1,900 and some odd people in that facility. And I mean, why are people being thrown in there like Robin? And I'm sure there's a ton of people just like Robin sitting in that place. Why? Well, we built it to hold X number of people, and therefore, officer, go find somebody to put in the facility, would you? Like we're paying you a lot of money, and we have empty spaces here, and we get paid like any other hotel for full spaces, not empty spaces. So you can go be the booking agent if you wish and start dragging some customers in here so that we can collect the full amount of money that we expect to collect, and it can go off to our investors or whatever. So, even though we are fictional entities, we are an indispensable entity to the fictional dead corporation, because without us participating in it, it all falls apart. Their little fictional fiat currency stops flowing, and so on and so forth, and they are flat, broke, busted. And that's what we need to do. We need to bankrupt these clowns. They're already morally bankrupt. I mean, what kind of a clergy, what kind of a priest or a pastor or a preacher could work in a correctional facility knowing that it is completely corrupt? Now, why would you do that? Well, we're working on God's behalf. Well, if you were working on God's behalf, you would go in there and you would take those jailers and you would jail the jailers and you would free all of those who have caused no one any harm. Okay? A victimless crime is no crime at all. So we know this isn't about criminal activity for the most part. This is about people who have the capacity to question and think, and therefore are put into the re-education program at this particular, and they're all over the place, these rehabilitation centers, which are really re-education centers, and teaching people not to disobey. And you have these people. I was in jail one time in Michigan when I was 17. And that was a really freaky experience because we decided to go to North Bay from here, which is, I don't know what it is, I don't know, it's 3-5 hours, whatever the hell it is, so looking for work. And my friend had his brother living in North Bay, so we thought, what the hell, we'll go up there so we can find some work. And basically what it turned into was a road trip. Now, I was 17, and my three buddies were 16. A lot of them like a month or a week younger than me. So we go on this road trip. So being 16, 17 years old, the first thing we did was stop at the beer store on the way out of town and headed north. And we were enjoying ourselves, smoking a bit of weed, having a beer, enjoying the day, beautiful day, get to North Bay. His brother doesn't know where there's any work really, so he cons us into changing the motor in his Cadillac, which we did, and we had some beers and smoked some weed and had a wonderful day. And then we got partying pretty good, rented a hotel downtown North Bay, and some of my friends were up to light standards, and we were asked if we would be considerate of North Bay and please leave. This was back in the day when the police, they didn't so much jail you as they told you leave, hit the road, right? Well, we're just having fun. We're not harming anybody. I know, but it's a circus, so get out of here. we really don't want to throw your ass in jail. Of course, you have no reason to throw your ass in jail. So we left and we went to Sault Ste. Marie, where one of my friends had family. We visited with them, and we had a lovely time and visiting his folks. And then we were going to come home, and we thought, well, why don't we cut across and drive down the Michigan side, and we'll cross back over at Sarnia on the Blue Water Bridge. Well, and it was a good time. It was a wonderful time to be alive. I really wish people could have experienced it, because I never took the law too seriously, because my attitude has always been, if I haven't caused anybody harm, then leave me alone, right? That's always been my attitude. If I have caused someone harm, yes, I'll step up to the plate instantly. But I'm not out to harm anyone, and therefore I don't harm anyone. So, these were pretty easy times, even though they were tossing people in jail a lot for weed and that. And I'm not a pot smoker anymore. I mean, we consumed. I mean, my crew made Cheech and Chung look like choir boys. I mean, we were pretty hardcore partiers, and but driving down, the main drag along the water in Sault Ste. Marie. The cars are cruising, and people are passing beers back and forth between cars, and people are passing joints back and forth between cars. People that don't even know each other. We're just having fun, right? Here, try some of this shit. We'll try some of that shit. And this is being passed back and forth on the road while we're driving along the water in Sault Ste. Marie. Nobody's giving us too big a trouble. But then when we crossed the border, that was our first long neck beers. That was another experience. I think it was Pabst Blue Ribbon we bought or something. We didn't know nothing about American beer. We were still in the land of the stubby beer bottle here in Canadistan, and so this was quite a new deal for us. We didn't know why they were in long neck bottles. The amount of beer in them, and the cases were huge. But it was a new experience. So my buddy was, I don't remember who was driving, me or my buddy. But anyways, we pulled into a gas station, and we went in to get some smokes and whatnot, and get filled up. And I guess we were having too much fun and eating a gas station hot dog. And I guess somebody from the gas station called, or they just showed up. But we got run over by cops. And I will never forget it. I woke up in a cell in Upper Michigan, and I didn't know what was going on. I'm on this concrete steel slab, and I'm hearing this song, Jesus loves you or something. And I'm thinking, wow, did we mess up real bad, or what's going on here? Because the very stark conditions I was in, and I'm quite hungover, and I'm thinking, what have we done? And I wasn't sure if we were dead or what, and here's this guy out in the other. I couldn't tell who was who. Like, are you in the jail cell, or am I in the jail cell? Like, who's where, right? And it dawned on me that I'm the one inside, and he was singing me this song. So. A nice guy, but a very interesting experience, because the other guys were 16. Their parents came and picked them up, and I was 17. So apparently I was an age in Michigan. I had to go to court. So I spent a week or two there. Very interesting. I saw the way the Americans do law and stuff, and it was an experience that, while inconvenient, I'm glad I had the chance to experience. Anyways, that's the end of the show. Al is on the clock.
Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill.